Associate Professor at the University of Vienna. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. Now, the situation in Sudan seems to be just getting worse and worse as the military continues to crack down on protesters there. How much more worse do you think it can get from this point on?
Well, at the moment, it's really difficult to say. The dust hasn't really settled yet, and the problem is that the military has perhaps a bit miscalculated what it was doing, because it was proposing like a technocratic government, and it was kind of, it seems, hoping that Prime Minister Hamdok would at least partially agree to continue his role in this new setup. But the problem is this is not working now. So the problem is now they are somehow in this situation with a plan that hasn't worked out. And this is a recipe for perhaps more violence if there isn't kind of a quick solution to what happens now to the current situation.
Right, and we have heard international calls for people to defy the coup and to continue protesting and to be on the streets demonstrating against this crackdown on the country. How long do you think protesters will stand strong and continue to demonstrate against this coup?
Well, tomorrow is said to be another March of the Millions. So tomorrow, like the protest movement will try to gather all their strength for tomorrow to get some decisive movement behind the resistance against the military regime now. But they have proven already that they are really sustainable and strong and resilient as a movement when they protested against Bashir. However, now, I mean, this situation now lingers on in almost 3 years when you count the protests since basically the start of the protests against the Bashir regime. So, of course, it's quite a test now, and it is to, well, let's hope, so to speak, that tomorrow's protests really are, first of all, peaceful. Second, that the military wouldn't intervene with arms. And third, that is really pushing this into a kind of a decisive direction towards a kind of installation of the transitionary government.
Right. We've already seen the African Union remove Sudan. The World Bank has suspended funds, which is quite a big blow to the country, given that it's one of the poorer countries in Africa. And it does need the money and support. But General Burhan doesn't seem like he's going to back down anytime soon. What needs to happen to bring calm and, more importantly, democracy to the country?
Well, as I said, I think in a certain way that General Burhan might have a bit miscalculated what he's actually doing. So he's now in a situation that he wasn't really aspiring to. He wanted to have Hamdok, keep Hamdok in place, and now have another form of transitional government. So in a way, he was kind of reiterating demands that others had as well, but under his rule, and this hasn't worked out. So now I see the Gulf states internationally in a very strong and decisive position. They are basically the last source of financing that is left, and they are also like in a potential role now to offer a way out in this current situation, because the problem is Burhan is now in there. He can't move away. At the same time, his big ally in a way, Hemeti, the actual strongman in the government, hasn't ever said anything. People say he might be behind these events, but he's hedging his bets. So he hasn't really fully supported Burhan, which is really interesting. So he's not fully behind this, and without Hemeti's full support, Burhan is hang out to dry basically. So there must be a way out for him.
Right. And of course, there is a really important event taking place this weekend, the G20 summit. How extensively do you think Sudan will be spoken about during the G20 summit? And do you think any action will be taken on their end?
I mean, the somewhat unfortunate thing is that Sudan is not that high on the international agenda now, also with the climate summit and all these other things. Yet the Security Council debate that happened, I think, 2 days ago, showed that basically all the Troika countries and the international kind of community, if you want to call it even like that, is pretty much clear in condemning the coup. I mean, Russia being a bit more careful than like Western countries, but there have been strong statements. So it seems that there will be an almost unanimous international pressure against this government, and it seems that even like neighboring countries and even kind of allies that Burhan might have thought that would be with him are not accepting this coup.
All right, Jan Pospisil, thank you so much for sharing that insight with us here on the NewsHour.